So here's your transverse abdominal, internal oblique, external oblique. You can see that each one gives out this membrane, this aponeurotic membrane. This one is not very well shown because it shows that the split occurs immediately as it emerges, but it's actually, they're going to be pretty long at first, coming together, and then they will do all these splittings. But for simplicity, I'm showing you that how splittings occur. So here, the membrane of the transverse abdominis forms the posterior rectus sheath. In other words, the sheath along the posterior of the rectus muscle. So this is the front of the body, this is inside the body. This is the peritoneal cavity. So the posterior rectus sheath here, formed behind the rectus abdominis, is formed by this aponeurotic membrane coming from transverse abdominis. The anterior rectus sheath here is formed by the aponeurotic membrane coming from the external oblique here. The internal oblique, which is actually the thickest of the three, it comes out and it splits. So it contributes to both posterior rectus sheath and anterior rectus sheath. Now the entire structure here, this sheath, well, this membrane here, it's not called the rectus sheath. Only the portion that covers the rectus abdominis muscle is called the rectus sheath. So only this area here is the rectus sheath. The portions that immediately emerge from these abdominal muscles here, transverse abdominis, internal oblique, and external oblique, they initially will come together. So it's not shown here, but they will come together, and that initial portion is actually the aponeurosis. Together will form an aponeurosis, and then they will do all these splittings, go around the rectus abdominis, and that will be the rectus sheath. And these guys here actually come together, the anterior and posterior rectus sheath. Okay, they meet like this, so that they completely confine the rectus abdominis within these cavities, within these spaces. And this portion here, of course, as you know, it's called the linea alba, which is the groove that runs vertically right along the center of the rectus abdominis muscle. If we cut the abdomen below the arcuate line, so here we already said that one difference below the arcuate line is that the internal oblique is no longer going perpendicular to the external oblique, but goes in the same parallel to the external oblique. The second thing you see is in these structures. So what you see is this. As we said here, the posterior rectus sheath is formed by the transverse abdominis and internal oblique, but below the arcuate line there is no posterior rectus sheath. The anterior rectus sheath is still there, formed by the external oblique and internal oblique, but now also the transverse abdominis muscle contributes to the anterior rectus sheath. So basically there is no posterior rectus sheath below the arcuate line. Okay? And these other layers simply indicate other layers. So this would be the skin. Below the skin is the fat and connective tissue, and then there's your anterior rectus sheath. It's the exact same thing here. But then the rectus abdominis muscle itself, followed by, normally there would be the posterior rectus sheath here, as shown here, but below the arcuate line there is no posterior rectus sheath. So the membrane, the layer that's immediately posterior to the rectus abdominis muscle here, is called the transversalis fascia. Let me write that, transversalis fascia. And then behind that is your peritoneum, which is of course your parietal peritoneum, and then the peritoneal cavity. Okay, and exact same thing here. So you have the skin, fat, anterior rectus sheath, rectus abdominis, posterior rectus sheath, transversalis fascia. Okay, there's a transversalis fascia, and then peritoneum, and then the peritoneal cavity. So the only difference is that below the arcuate line there is no posterior rectus sheath, so the rectus abdominis muscle sits directly on the transversalis fascia.